It was supposed to be easy, a weekend trip, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, backpack, clothes, passport, that's all I needed. So how exactly did I end up with an oversized suitcase, conditioner all over my clothes, and losing my favorite pair of headphones? If you're anything like me, you've had enough and all you want to do is travel in convenience. Here's how. So the first tip that I would recommend to make your life more convenient is to use packing cubes. And the problem that it solves, I think, is pretty obvious. Imagine that you have all your shirts, underwear, socks, pants, whatever, individually packed into your bag. It's fine at first because you put them nice and organized, but as soon as you move around and start jostling and you need to pull out, let's say, a pair of socks, you find one, but then you realize all the clothes inside of your bag have jostled around, and now you can't find the other sock. So you're digging around and you still can't find it, and then you're eventually forced to just dump everything out onto your table, bed, outside on the ground, just to find that one sock. I'm sure we've all been there at some point, but packing cubes makes this so that this doesn't happen. Instead of having 2, 4, 6, 8, whatever socks individually packed into your bag, you now have all those socks packed into a single packing cube. And so it cuts down packing from multiple things into one thing, saving you space, time, and energy when it comes to finding those things in the future. And this doesn't just apply to socks. You can use packing cubes for shirts, pants, underwear, basically anything that's relatively flexible and can be compressed in a packing cube. And this kind of leads directly into my next point, which is to bring along a toiletry bag, which is essentially a packing cube, but for your toiletries. So instead of having your toothpaste, mouthwash, shampoo, conditioner, and whatever inside plastic baggies, or God forbid, you put them just straight into your bag, you have them all in one place, so just in case that they explode, they don't explode all over your clothes and your electronics, they explode in that contained bag, which you can easily wash afterwards. The next thing on my list that I always take with me to make travel more convenient is earplugs and either an eye mask, or if I don't have an eye mask on hand, I just use sunglasses. If you're like me, it's very hard to sleep when there's any light pollution or if there's any loud sounds. And for me, I don't really like the monotonous sound of like the plane engine when I'm in the air, so I prefer to have earbuds. And I used to carry around an eye mask, but most of the time on planes, if you ask the flight attendant for an eye mask, they'll usually have extras on hand, which they can give you for free. But if you don't want to do that, a pair of sunglasses works just fine, for me at least. And this isn't just for planes, they're very useful for hostels and hotels, especially when you know that you're traveling with friends or family that you know snore a lot. So don't ruin your trip by not having enough rest. Bring some earplugs and eye masks. The next tip that I recommend is to wear pants with zippered pockets when needed. And in my case, that need is on a plane or somewhere where I feel like I could get pickpocketed very easily. The reason why I wear them on planes is because I've lost a lot of items on planes that have just fallen out of my pocket, and so zippered pockets make that basically impossible as long as you remember to zip it up. And when you're new to traveling and you aren't really familiar with keeping your belongings safe, it's very easy to feel comfortable with having things in your pocket, but I've been in cases where I've been pickpocketed before, and so having zipper pockets is just one more layer of security that I like to keep on hand to prevent that happening in the future. And the next tip that I recommend for anyone that really travels more than 2 or 3 times a year, and I said year, not a month, is getting TSA PreCheck. You may have gone to the airport before and seen that the TSA PreCheck line is longer than the regular line, but trust me, even in those cases, TSA PreCheck is really worth it because you don't have to take off your shoes and you don't have to take out your laptop. And so for me, paying $100 or so to get 4 or 5 years of TSA PreCheck, which allows me to not take off my shoes and allows me to not take out my laptop out of my bag, is a convenience that I'm willing to pay for. And to make this convenience make even more sense, I pay for TSA PreCheck using credit cards that give TSA PreCheck as a free benefit. So Chase Sapphire Preferred, Reserve, Amex Platinum, Amex Gold, all of these cards and basically a lot more cards that are travel oriented will usually always give you TSA PreCheck. So there are a lot of options if you don't want to shell out the cash directly. And the final tip that I would recommend is getting used to one bag travel. Traveling these days is getting a lot more expensive, especially with budget airlines. It used to be the case where the cheapest ticket on an airline would get you a carry-on as well as a backpack, but now it's basically just backpack only, and you have to shell out an additional $30, $50, $75 to get a carry-on on board. And if you're traveling frequently, that cost adds up, and from what I've experienced, having that carry-on being a rollie or whatever is just an extra hassle because you're kind of forced to go straight to the hotel after you land somewhere. But if I just have a backpack, I'm basically free to go wherever I want because no one's gonna bat their eyes at having a backpack at a cafe or a restaurant or a museum. And so it's a lot easier to take around with you if you just have a single backpack. And this is use case dependent. I usually travel with just a single backpack for most of my trips. I'm able to go days, weeks, even months at a time with just a single backpack as long as you have access to laundry. But again, your mileage may vary depending on your use case. For some of you out there, you might need suits, dresses, specific electronics, and big bulky things that you can't really carry with one backpack. And so obviously for your use case, you're gonna need to bring an extra bag. But if you don't need to take anything with you in particular, I would recommend just trying at least doing one bag for a week-long trip if you have the chance. Because it just makes everything a lot easier when it comes to logistics, travel, and cost. So those are my tips to make traveling more convenient. Hopefully you get something out of it. Until next time, peace.